Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mind Your Buffalo podcast. This is your host Ravikant, aka the Buffalo Intellectual. I don't know when you will hear this episode, but at the time I'm recording it, it is near Diwali. And last year I did like an episode, around this time. It went it was really widely. I can't say it's viral. None of my episodes go viral. It is a very strange kind of a following that this show has. Like there are YouTubers who have like 5 lakh followers or 7 lakh followers, and like their clips will have like 60,000 views or something like that. But like none of them have as engaged an audience as this show. Like this show has like a very small but like a very rabid like kind of an audience. It's a very weird one that I don't fully make sense of it. I've always said this show has some very strange, has a very strange listenership. So, if you're a regular listener of this show, then you've probably kind of, you might remember last year I did an episode around the same time, Sad Singles Diwali, and many people messaged me. By many, I mean like more than one person has messaged me, and they were like, will you do like a Diwali episode this year? Right? Like, it's almost like that this is a expectation now that I have to do a Diwali episode. And well, honestly, I don't really have, it's a challenge because I don't really have anything new to say, because exactly my feelings on Diwali or like not the religious element of it. So I don't want to suddenly incite the anger of like all the right wing, because they're also very touchy. This is the other thing, I will talk a little bit about like what Diwali has become. I've always been an outsider to Diwali. Like, I grew up in Calcutta, and in the 90s, Diwali was not very big. We knew it was an important holiday. It was never like insignificant. It was an important holiday, but like Kali Puja, which used to come around that time, was also like, very big. Muharram was very big. And of course, the biggest used to be Durga Puja. We never had Ram Navami or something like that in Calcutta. Navratri was like popular among the Jain, Gujarati, Agarwal, Marwadi crowd, but like it was really not a thing in large parts of Calcutta, Bengal, right? So Garba and all, I had never even heard of before I'd seen it in TV, some Sanjay Leela Bansali coder type things, but I'd never really known. And Diwali was like in that pack. And now, like almost 20 years later, when I look at it, and on the other side of it, like back in my village in Punjab, none of the festivals were actually really big. None of these festivals, like Lodi was big, like Baisakhi, Lodi, those kind of things. They were like important, or like some village, the thing. But like Holi, Diwali, these were really not things that were for young Ravikant, like big calendar figures, both in Calcutta or in back home in Punjab. And then suddenly, Diwali became like this. I shouldn't say suddenly, like it carefully over the last 20 years, was curated into this umbrella mega festival. And I wanted to kind of like point out that this is another one of those things that you have to kind of pin down on MBAs. Okay, that's what I'm talking about, because I think like this huge this like I said, umbrellification of Diwali, many which ways goes back to is linked to the rise of organized retail. I think once organized retail starts coming into India, late 2000s, it starts taking off in a big way, e-commerce through sites like Flipkart, Amazon. And, once that starts getting organized and malls become like a very integral part of culture, in many which ways, the Indian retail industry looked to the US, and how the US has like this holiday window, which is usually around Christmas, New Year's, where, like, see what tends to happen in retail. And like, please, if there's any MBA listening to it, like, maaf kar do mujhe, I don't need your 1 hour discursive breakdown. Like, actually, MBAs who are listening to it will not do it. I check myself. Usually people who will come and leave comments like, oh, actually, and like write one paragraph of essay and like name drop theorists are usually college students, usually from first year, operating from anon IDs. Okay, so fine, like go nuts, like इतना मेरे कमेंट में डालने की बजाय होमवर्क कर लो तो बेटर रहेगा, is my point. But like what I was trying to say before I unnecessarily got derailed is that what happened in the thing is, like, in the retail industry, because they are operating at such huge volumes, right? Like these malls and these online platforms, they're warehousing a lot of like, inventory, or a lot of items which are coming in. They always have to have more stock. They can't ever run out. The store can't ever fully sell out. So you never are running on empty. But periodically you need to push out old stock so the new stock can keep, like, like you're always replacing your stock, but like once or twice or 3 times a year you need to like 80% redo the thing. So which is why sales are important, which is why every now and then you will see, like, according to the season, like collection, like especially in fashion brands, like all these clothes brands and apparel brands and all of that, like they will suddenly be like 50% off. वो इसीलिए दे रहा है क्योंकि उसका अगला collection has come. So if in a normal month or normal period 10% or 20% of the shelf is getting recycled, okay, like you're cycling out, these things are getting sold and you're replacing the new collection. Once or twice a year you need to 80% replace. You need to remove the whole thing. Like winter summer is a very big thing. Like before the winter you need to sell out all the summer gear more or less, so that like you can stock the shelves with, I don't know, jackets or whatever. And like then once the winter goes down, you need to remove all the jackets away and, like bring a different collection, because there's no point selling woolen sweaters in June, So the industry needs these mass clearances, and individual stores and brands can give sale, yes, but it works better if everyone collectively starts synchronizing their sales, because then the customer is out looking to shop. Because the idea of a sale is more people come, open their wallet and buy things, and if everybody is sale and the customer knows that, okay, like 7-8 stores are ek saath mein giving a discount, they're more likely to splurge, okay, than they otherwise would have. So this idea of an organized sale window is a very, very important element of this format of retail. And in the US industry, like I was saying, like their window is like this Christmas holidays to New Year's kind of a space. And in India, like, we didn't have this window. So you start seeing like, Amazon and like people like that start trying to create artificially these windows. So they suddenly there was an Independence Day or a Republic Day, like this. They started taking days like this and creating like a sale culture around it. They started like, they would buy out, like I remember 2015, 2014, they would buy out front page of all newspaper ads and like all the hoardings in the city and the TV. Everywhere they were aggressively telling you that the best deals are on offer, and now I think that kind of advertising has become pretty standard. But that's the first time I noticed like, oh, this is how aggressively they're pushing this. And eventually that sales window, like, yes, they created their own property, this big billion sale, this, that, vagera, falana, timkana. But eventually this sale window kind of a thing settled around Diwali. It is the time when, like, everybody from car manufacturers to new mobile phone launches to, Bollywood has always historically, like done like some of its major releases around Diwali, and these different kind of fashion brands, all kinds of industries started like making Diwali like this big thing. When I remember when I was working in advertising around 2010 and like 2009 2010, like the Diwali period was the busiest period, like 10 days before Diwali or whatever, like, because that is when all the big brands like campaigns would be releasing. Everybody would be putting their thing in that point. So like if you were an ad company, you were like very busy trying to kind of make sure all the campaign, the ad is short, the creative is signed off and off and everything. And it was like a very big busy period. So like basically Diwali has always been a space where ठीक है, culturally purchases happen and people are looking to spend. That has always been there, but it was put in like this steroid mode by like these MBA retail bros post 2010 ish ke aspas, and now it has, as a result, it has morphed into this huge cultural like apparatus. It has morphed into this huge machine that you just cannot escape from. Like, again, I'm not talking about the religious festival. So what used to be like a religious festival experience, family, tradition, those kind of things, when you hyper mercantilize this kind of a thing, what it tends to do is it every social experience then starts getting mediated through some form of consumerist lens. ठीक है, तो अब आपको टीवी एड सिखा रही है कि व्हाट इज अ गुड वे ऑफ दिवाली, ऑफ सेलिब्रेटिंग दिवाली. एंड अगेन, दिस इज नॉट यूनिक टू दिवाली. वी हैव सीन दिस हैपन विद, लेट्स से, रक्षा बंधन. Okay, like Cadbury's in the early 2000s, I think, decided that, in fact, I'm not talking out of thin air, because I remember Cadbury's, their agency, I forget, it was Ogilvy or JWT, one of those guys. And when I was doing my MBA, I was specializing in advertising, and they had come, the advertising agency, and had given us a quote unquote live brief. It's a very broad, whatever, generic big problem that they were trying to solve, and it gave us a lens into understanding how companies like Cadbury's operate. Like, Cadbury's is a chocolate candy whatever company, and in the early 2000s Cadbury's had like almost 90-95% insane amount of market share. Nobody else was close. Even Amul, Nestle, they were not close. So Cadbury's ran the chocolate market. Cadbury Dairy Milk CDM was the most popular product that were there. Now, what do when you so totally dominate a market, dominate a segment, right? Do you just like give up and say like, okay, fine, ho gaya, abhi chalo rest karte? No, they started looking at other segments to enter. So Cadbury's started, I think, thinking, or like maybe that's what, or we were told that's how Cadbury started thinking. Like, I'm just wording it how we were told, okay? I was a student, so if it is wrong and if your work in Cadbury's, like, I'm so sorry, but this is what we were told, okay? So we were told that like Cadbury's is no longer looking at the chocolate market alone. It is looking at the mithai market, because that's a much bigger market. The chocolate market is small and the mithai market is very big. And thing with the mithai market is, mithai is tradition, different festivals, weddings, and all kinds of things. Like, there's a cultural thing built into it. So and chocolate used to be seen as something which is Western, which is seen as, for children, and, how do you replace it, put it in festivals? So, out of the calendar of like festivals, I think Raksha Bandhan was the one that they cracked first very well, because in Raksha Bandhan, what they did was, Raksha Bandhan is primarily about, like older adults, like brother, sister can also do the Rakhi thing, but usually it is seen around children or like, teenagers and all. So all the Cadbury ads, go back and think about them in the 2000s and 2010, actually even today. the same ad has been playing, right? They just change the actors or settings a little bit. It is going to be a brother sister, and the sister is like all knowing, responsible. She's with it, okay? She's a sensible child. And the brother is like befkoof. He's like lost. His hair is all over the place. He's just tumbled out of sleep, and he looks like he's forgotten. And she's like, it's Rakhi, and he'll be like, oh, I forgot. And then she will tie the Rakhi, and then she'll be like, it's okay, koi baat nahi. And then he will look at her and with a knowing look, I gotcha, I got you. And then he will bring out a chocolate, and then she'll be like, huh? Bhaiya, you got chocolate? And he's like, हाँ मेरी बहना. And the like प्यार फूटेगा, and everybody will be like, so good, so good. So this is what they were doing right now. This format of the ad has not changed. It is always going to be this stupid brother, and it is always going to be this like well put together mature sister, and then the brother will surprise her with a gift, which is usually either a bar of chocolate, or he'll give her like something expensive, and then they will both eat a chocolate to celebrate, or something like that, right? Now the point I'm trying to say is, Rakhi, after 20 years of seeing ads like this, now the way an 18-year-old or a 16-year-old approaches Rakhi, or the way the 40-year-old, 45-year-old parent, whose kids have, they grew up watching ads like this for 20, 25 years, and their children are now 12 and 13. For them, their education of what Raksha Bandhan should be is mediated by this kind of communication, right? Because earlier it used to be like, okay, which family you are, which part of the country you are. If you're from the south, maybe Rakhi was not even a big thing. Like people didn't look, maybe it's still not a big thing. People didn't really think so much about these things. Different families, different traditions, blah, 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 blah. But now, you like think about it, like for most people in Rakhi, right, if like there is a sweet to be shared after the Raksha, the thing, the plate will have a chocolate. In most cases, it will have a chocolate, right? So the Cadbury's or chocolate campaign to enter that mithai plate was successful in many which ways, the tropes of behavior. So it's not just if they were able to successfully put themselves inside, the kind of sweet you're eating, subconsciously or knowingly or unknowingly, wanting or unwantingly, they will also over a period of time influence the way you think about these moments. In many which ways, we are a generation of people, especially like older people who are in their 30s and 40s, even late 20s, I'm not letting you guys off the hook. We are all like, we got a coaching on how to live our lives through media content, right? What is the ideal definition of college friendships, right? Is taught to you by friends, right? Or Big Bang Theory, or like, How I Met Your Mother, or whatever, right? Or whatever is a show, like in many which ways, like your idea of, or even currently, like, shows like Euphoria and all, like they're having a, like you can't say this is happening because of this one show, but it is part of this collective, which is in many which ways we are learning how to cope with important moments in our life through media texts. So like, I think my generation was the first when it started to happen, where like if a couple has been dating for a while, like it was expected that, or actually forget, like let me rephrase that. Even before that, like if a couple has been, like boy, girl, whatever, like whatever heteronormative relationship you have, like you're dating, and like how did he ask her became like a very big thing. Or if you guys have been dating for a while, then okay, like you guys want to like discuss how to get married. So how was the proposal? Because like we saw episodes of Friends, like how Chandler or Monica made like a big deal about how to get married, and like going down on one knee and holding up a ring, and the whole, the studio audience is going, "Wah!" Like that is now, whether you like it or not, a key metric of how you navigate those moments, right? So like we had a, like in most at least North Indian Savarna weddings, like or Punjabi Savarna weddings, you have the concept of sagai or rukka or things like that, ceremonies like that. Many of these, at least a sagai is like a ring exchange ceremony, right? And so you have a ring that you will get when you're like betrothed to somebody. But TV has also taught me that if I have to ask somebody to get married, I have to give her a ring. So I am giving a proposal ring, and then there is a sagai ring. So there is a proposal ring, and then there is an official ring. दो ring का क्या कर रहे हो life में, right? Sometimes it is the same ring that they use both times. Sometimes one is for official purposes. Like people like have to kind of, like, your culture sort of moves, because if you are a 25, 26-year-old in 2014, 2015, मतलब तुम्हारा एक्सपेक्टेशन है कि हमारा प्रपोजल एक मोमेंट होगा, ठीक है? लाइक दिस इज द एरा वेयर, लाइक for the first time ever, something called candid wedding photography emerged. Like there was no concept of a candid wedding photography. The wedding photographer was a chronicler, right? His job was not to kind of take good looking aesthetic pictures. His job was to document कौन आ रहा है, like who all have come here. In fact, there used to be like in like North Indian Savarna weddings, and I'm just saying that because like when I was younger, those are the weddings that like I had seen around me a lot. Weddings in our village used to happen obviously very, very differently, but like I'm just talking like in around me, and like I haven't been to a wedding in, oh wow, I haven't been to a wedding in I think 11 or 12 years. Like I just stopped going to weddings. Like if on a few occasions a person is very close to me, and like I'll go for like usually there's like some sort of a reception or after party or something like that. Like I'll go for one of those things, that too very briefly. But actually शादी में जाके मिलके ceremony खान, I haven't seen any of those in 10-12 years. So I don't really know how it happens sort of now. But what I do remember is like when I was younger, when I was a child, when before all of this whole candid wedding photography, like there used to be something called a reception, and like there's these giant thrones, in the 90s and early 2000s, there would be these giant throne type of tacky red velvet carpet chairs would be put on the stage, and the husband wife would just sit there in their like ornate wedding ornery dress, and one by one people would come and give them an envelope, and like then they would take a picture, like husband wife and like the newly married husband wife and like the family around them, and there'll be one group photo, and the photographer's job was to just stand there, take a picture, they will have the picture taken, they will say thank you, they'll move, next group will come, or next two people will come, hand in their envelope, pose for the photo, photographer will take picture, then they will go, and it will continue, right? Or like the videographer or photographer will walk around as people are eating, they will just like do a pan shot of kaun baitha hai, who all are sitting here. So the wedding photographer's job was to just document everybody. They weren't trying to make moments. They weren't trying to like, have like this essay, like this catch. There's this sudden smile of the bride and she suddenly saw somebody, her eyes lit up and the background is all like blurred and like her face is lit up and like some like, dim light is coming from this side. And she looks like in that photo, like it's like a postcard photo, right? That's not what the wedding photographers were doing. And this generation is like so narcissistic. It became so it's so funny. My generation, they're like such narcissistic, self-obsessed people. On top of the regular wedding photographer, we invited and often overpaid handsomely to this person to come and do candid wedding photography, right? Then that candid wedding shoot started going into pre-wedding shoot and something like, bridal shower, or nowadays, like there is things like baby shower, right? Again, these are all moments in your life that you've picked up from media. So my point is, like, so much of this elite urban savarna culture, right? Even like tropes, like, shadi mein ab aap photography kar rahe ho. So now there is a moment. So like, dulhan will come wearing aviators and pose on a Enfield bike. Kyun? Like, what is it? It's a subversion of some trope. I get it. I'm not stupid. It's a subversion of some trope. She's not being feminine. She's supposed to be a little badass. But the subversion of that trope has itself become a trope now. Like, how many of these pictures, like the moment I say this, how many of these pictures have you seen? Like there'll be like a pre-wedding shoot and like there'll be like husband or like soon to be husband. He's saying, carrying a sign saying, she said yes, or, and something like that. Like, how many of these have we seen before, we can say that this is like, can I say it's a little cringe? Will I upset people if I say it? If I will upset people by saying it's cringe, then I'm very glad, because it is very cringe. And as a 40-year-old man who has never married, so you can understand how fulfilling my life is. Yeah, like I can say that, but it is deeply cringe. But anyways, my point was not to go off on weddings. My point was how media has sort of taught culture, like how to behave in these moments. And in many ways, Diwali has sort of over the years also become very mediated. So ab Diwali is going to be like this big wholesome retail experience जहां आपको घर जाना ही जाना है, and like like everybody will wear like retail ethnic wear, and there has to be a pose, like they'll be like, like that fake, like mid frame, like people who are audio listening to this, you'll be like, they'll be like, like they're so used to like they want certain kind of candid pictures and certain kind of poses that they have, like sociopaths, practiced and rehearsed like muscle memory what authentic mid-candid pictures look like. So suddenly they'll be like, oh, half shocked, half surprised. Like that. Or like, you're like casually like whiffing your hair away, like, oh, I'm just like whiffing my hair off, right? Or like you're just like, oh, yeah, everyone's looking off camera slightly. Which side of your face is better, where your jawline, and you're like, whether you're like holding up signs like this or this or this or whatever, like, like the whole posing part of it, it's so rehearsed. And there is no spontaneity in it, and it's like everybody has just frozen their personality into these postures for processing. And in many which ways, like in a metaphoric way, the entirety of this Diwali festive experience has become like this one large photograph stretched over like this whole period. So it's like this whole idea of this unifier umbrella celebration event, and the whole discourse around it. Like I'm like very bored with how this is talked about also. Like every year on Diwali, the same script will come playing, okay? The same, the whole firecrackers, oh, it is good, oh, it is bad. Look, there is no debate in this. Firecrackers are bad, Okay, this is not a subjective, this should not be a subjective opinion. It is a very direct scientific opinion. You know, like the air pollution from it, the sound pollution from it, it's bad for old people, it's bad for small babies, infants, it's bad for animals, it's overall bad for everybody. That is, none of that is in question. Like, nobody, even the defenders of firecrackers, are not coming out and saying, oh, firecracker is actually better for the breathing of the elderly. That is not an argument anybody is making. Nobody is coming out and saying, actually, animals kind of really like the sudden sounds and bursts and explosions. That's not an argument anyone is making. That's agreed. The people who defend firecrackers, their argument is, so fucking what? You can't argue with it. Like, the whole discourse, I've seen this play out every year, साल on साल. मतलब आप नहीं कर पाओगे. Like you can't do this. Like, you can't go and tell somebody that, oh, this is bad for the environment, this is bad for this is bad for that, it is creating. You can't do that because the other person, you can't do that when the other person's argument is, so fucking what? Right? That's the argument. The argument is, this festival is very important to me, and firecrackers are a very important part of this festive experience. And even if it causes a little bit of air pollution and sound pollution, and so what? Like, if some animals lose their mind for a few days out of anxiety, so what if it exacerbates the breathing or issues of some of the elderly? So what if young children, babies grow up, with unfit air to breathe? So fucking what? Like, a little bit of that can be experienced. And their argument is like, it's not like the other days of the year things are fine. Well, you can't argue with that. So, like, why are you picking this one simple day? And of course, the right-wing ecosystem will be like, oh, you don't say anything about Muslim festivals, you don't say anything about that. On Diwali, you have a big issue. Like, they have also created this issue. Every year in Diwali, like, some stupid actor, or, like some cricketer's spouse, or like some cricketer only, like some public personality will go, and for what reason, I don't know, on Twitter say, like, have a safe and silent Diwali or something like that. फिर पूरा right wing आ जाएगा, नहीं देखो, Christmas में तो you were saying this, like, Eid is okay, only in Hindu festival. So, like, both sides of the argument, like, I'm tired of this. Like, every year, अगले साल भी यही होगा, आप जाके check कर लो. One group will say, oh, this is like, air quality and animals, and like, people who do this are terrible. On the other side, they will be like, this is, it's like same argument, right? So why should anyone bother to take this kind of a discourse seriously? दोनों तरफ से, like, nobody is taking a moment to kind of think, like, if you want to kind of go against firecrackers, or if you want to defend, at least कोई नया argument defend करना है आपको, नया argument लेके आओ ना. क्या year on year, like a hack, you're doing the same things, right? It's almost become part of the script. It's almost become part of the script कि अब हर साल, like clockwork, Amazon का सेल आएगा, आप ऐसे उसमें से मान्यवर का और सम ब्रांड का आप ऐसे कुर्ता पहनोगे, एंड देन लाइक देयर विल बी अ फोटो शूट जिसमें यू विल मेक कैंडिड पिक्चर्स. देयर विल बी like everybody's Instagram story will have one diya story. There'll be like some firecracker story. Somebody will say like, don't bust firecracker. Somebody will say bust firecracker. Like every year on clockwork this plays out, right? And somewhere along the way, like, it is really morphed into this kind of a festival which is sort of inescapable, which is sort of taken over the cultural vocabulary, so much so that for many people the idea of Diwali is now this sort of unifying cultural experience. Like Diwali mein aapko like there's a checklist of things that which have been very mediated, very culturally incepted. I'm not saying कि आपके फैमिली में ये ट्रेडिशन नहीं थी, बट अब आपको करना पड़ेगा, right? Like you have to be festive, you have to be wholesome, you have to be all of those things. And good if you are like that, great for you. But then like it's almost like the post Diwali, like the switch goes off again, and like everybody just reverts to the natural form. So it's like this collective cultural cosplay. Like we will all work towards it. घर साफ करो, ये करो, वो करो, shopping करो, this करो, मिठाई बांटो, and this that. Do the photo shoot, like light up the house, and then the next day cultural like thing. And I understand much of this is part of the historical. Like not everything can be blamed on retail and media and all that, and politics. But I think increasingly the point I'm trying to make, I don't know if I'm articulating very well, there is a sort of like softness which is disappearing from all of these things. Like there is a disappearance of authenticity from all of this. आप जो भी कर रहे हो, like the candid wedding photo shoot as a metaphor, if I may say so, like if I may not say so, if I may use like as a metaphor, like the moment you fake and pose candidness in a photograph, you've sort of lost the authenticity of it. The reason why there was beauty, you've lost the beauty. The reason why there was beauty in candid is because it was candid. You did not know you were being photographed. You were looking outside the camera frame, something caught your eyes lit up. It was a natural reaction, and the camera just happened to be there luckily, and it caught that moment luckily. And that's why that moment captured on the photograph is beautiful, because everybody got very lucky that moment was captured, right? Now, when you recreate it, then what you're doing is you're taking that moment of beauty and you're recreating what the facial muscles are like, what the pose was, what the angle was. You've robbed it of its spontaneity, of its sincerity, of its authenticity, and in its place you have replaced it with something which looks exactly like that, but somehow you can't put a finger on it. It feels less authentic. Okay, and maybe I'm just growing old. I'm like a 40-year-old uncle who feels like hamare zamane mein nahi. Maybe it's like that, but it almost feels like in these festive spaces. I don't celebrate Diwali. I haven't, again, for I can't remember, like 15-16 years. I don't celebrate Diwali, but even an outsider like me can experience ki kahin na kahin there is a like softness which has kind of disappeared, and in its place is this very well oiled, rehearsed, much more glamorous, now, like the lightings that people put up on buildings are much better, and like the amenities, the paraphernalia, like the firecrackers, like everything is like much better equipped. But like whatever was that little festive thing that was there has sort of been replaced by something which looks like it but feels absolutely inauthentic. In fact, especially with the firecrackers element of it, it almost starts feeling crude. It almost starts feeling the opposite of the joy that was. Like when the firecracker becomes like something that you're gloating over, कि हम तो करेंगे, अब क्या कर लोगे, I'm doing this. Like when it enters that space, it almost starts inverting the meaning of what it was supposed to be, which was this very spontaneous thing, and you were bursting firecrackers, you were having fun. Like that joy has been sort of replaced with something which almost feels like the opposite of it, right? And again, I'm not an expert in it. Like most of these Savarna or Sanatan or Hindu, whatever you want to call it, festivals, like I don't celebrate them. And as such, मेरा कोई soft corner नहीं है. But my point of this whole thing is actually not about Diwali. So please don't come at me for that. My point is, because Diwali has been made into this huge collective festive experience which is commercialized and marketed and reproduced through culture and practice over and over again, because it has been done, it is very evident in this performance. Okay, somewhere culture as a whole across the board, somewhere culture as a whole across the board has replaced itself with something which looks authentic but actually is very, very insincere, performative, and fake. So, like, not just Diwali, forget like Diwali, like I'm using Diwali as a means to make this larger point about how TV ads have become much better at selling the products, but like all TV ad, like I can't watch advertising anymore because it's just like the ads of the early 2000s, they were so bad. Some of those ads were so bad that you could watch them. There was imperfection. The idea that there has to be an imperfection in culture, like an authentic, organic imperfection, for some amount of relatability and human beauty, like the experience of a human experience of beauty, for a human experience of beauty, there has to be some organic, like gap, like organic, like not very good, like things have to be not very efficient, right? To get that thing going. And where we are now is, I think, cinema culture, apps, memes, influencer culture, like all of these things have, in the Savarna world, created such an authentic performance. Such an inauthentic performance, such a like rehearsed candidness or rehearsed wholesomeness or rehearsed festiveness of experience, that as a whole culture has just become very, very inauthentic. Like there's no space for beauty anymore. So now when you see Cringe, it is a product of a very polished thing that went wrong. Like there is no wholesome cringe, because actually wholesome cringe is not considered cringe at all. Wholesome cringe is actually considered like beautiful. And sometimes you will see this, like some small town person, or like outside this Savarna bubble on social media will just be like, hello friends, chai pee lo, and it almost feels cute, like, oh, this is nice, because they're really not thinking about the social media aesthetics of it. But in the Savarna space, in the urban elite space, every experience is an aesthetic. Like how you react when, I've seen some of these videos of like 19-year-olds whose friend has come to surprise them with a birthday cake. Like they all have the same reaction, right? They all are like, and then they all are crying. हर किसी को कैसे रोना आ रहा है? How is everybody crying? Like, do people cry that easily, or have you seen so much of these kind of mediated moments that you feel that's the way to feel right now? Like, because those are the reels, those are the things that are put out which have lakhs of views, which show up on algorithm. Like no one is going looking at that video. Like if my friend showed up, my reaction will be, what is this? Like that's not the reaction that you see usually. I'm just like, please iske, like don't be like, ye dekho is reel mein to maine to ye reaction diya tha. I don't care. Like I'm making a broader point. And I'm struggling through this episode with articulation. Anyways, so in that sense, like this post Diwali sort of like sphere of influence, like of sphere of influence बोल रहा हूँ, क्या बोल रहा हूँ मैं? This sphere of reflection, I think it is this loss of authenticity which is truly sad, because there was some beauty in all of this, and it's very difficult to find now. Anyways, I'm becoming old and hippie, but yeah, like that's, I'll have to think more about this. I feel I'm not articulating very well with this. I also like I'm in the middle of a move. I'm finally leaving Telangana. Like I've given a lot more details in the subscriber episode. I don't think like the general viewers are like not so like you're interested in my life, but like itna detail mein tumhe nahi sunna hai. So broadly, I'll be shifting to North India. I'll be going to Noida. I'll be shifting there. I'm getting a different job there. Telangana's done. Maybe I'll do an episode on Telangana. I never really got the hang of Telugu culture, okay? And it's on me. I feel I completely, I came here and I absolutely did not understand Telugu culture. Like, they have a very uniquely Telugu way of doing things. Like, everything from food to, like, social dynamics, and you can see it in their films, you can see it in the way they behave within their spaces, within their group. It's a very uniquely, like, you'll never mistake it for, if you understand Telugu culture, you'll never mistake it for any other culture. And I feel like, 2 years I've been here, I just felt so out of it. Like, I just kept like complaining, whining all the time. Telugus don't have a humor about themselves. This is something I've learned the very, very hard way. Like, you can go to Bengal and like make fun of Bengalis, they will laugh with you, right? You can go to Punjab and make fun of Punjabis. Like, you tell them three jokes about Punjab, they will tell you 4 more, right? Rajasthan, like, a lot of people from Rajasthan, they have a very interesting sense of humor. Haryana has a very wry, very gruff sense of humor. Delhi is a very funny city. I love Delhi. Delhi is a very funny city. Bombay is also a very funny city. Maharashtrian, like, sense of humor is very fun. It's very typical, also tends to be a little bit of a wry sense of humor that they have. From whatever little I understand, Kerala, Malayalis, like, incredible sense of humor. Tamil people, incredibly very, very, very funny people. And like, they can laugh. Like, you can go to Malayalis and like make jokes about Kerala and they will be like, ha, right. Gujarati people, like, you can go make fun of Gujarat. Madhya Pradesh, actually I have seen, like, you can make fun of Indore and like you can make fun of the, poha, and like they'll be like, yeah, whatever. But you can't do that with Telangana. You can't do that with Telugu people. You go and try to make fun of Telugu food in front of a Telugu person. They feel so personally violated. They're like, what? What did you just say? There is that. They look at you like that. And even if you're like joking, like, no, I was kidding. They're like, And these are friends of mine I'm talking about. Like, forget acquaintances. That I learned very early on, that you don't just go and like start telling this to the other Telugu people. It's really funny. Like, Biharis again, Uttar Pradesh, like, you name most people, like, you go and make fun of them or their state, they laugh with you. Like, Biharis can be a little prickly because Bihar is like shat upon so much. But like Biharis also have a very like self-deprecatory sense of humor. Not Telugus. That's my one learning. And the second learning is Hyderabad biryani is very overrated. Okay, it is. It is. I'm sorry. Like from now onwards, I judge people when they say like Hyderabadi biryani is the best biryani. It is not. Not even. Not even. Okay, not even. The best biryani, and I will die on this hill, is the one made in Calcutta, made in Bengal, with the aloo, with the potato. I think the potato is just the perfect accompaniment for a good biryani. It is not drowning in too many flavors and mirch murch and all that nonsense. It is a flavorful, well-made rice with a nice meat side, egg, and like a potato thrown in. It's a beautiful combination. Goes well with curries if you want. Awadh biryani, like, but if you're like somebody who likes Awadhi Lucknowi biryani or Delhi biryani, I can understand it. Like that difference of opinion I can understand. That okay, Calcutta biryani is it's a flavor differentiation. So that I can. Hyderabadi biryani is Lucknowi biryani with a lot more mirch in it, and mirch based flavor base, because everything in Vidarbha and Telangana, these are adjacent areas in south central India, like they are just insanely about mirchi. They're just like spicy. Spice is not just mirchi. Spice, there are many different kinds of spice. Spiceful, right? They don't understand that concept. For them, spice means mirchi. Okay, and so much mirchi, like I used to make this joke that Telugus have like this collective Freudian like death wish. Like it is a culture which like hates itself somewhere deeply subconscious, and or they're dead inside, and like they have to eat so much mirch just to kind of like keep themselves like from feeling anything, because everything else is dead. So when I make jokes like this, and then like you can understand why Telugu people like don't like me when I say these things to their faces. But like anyways, I had better jokes, and this was not a joke. This was a cultural observation, and I can scientifically prove this. There are lab test results. I shall furnish if a court forces me to. Anyways, so the point I'm trying to make is like, yeah. So no, but like jokes aside, I don't think I had a chance. I don't think I gave myself a realistic chance to experience Telugu culture, mainly because my job was so all-consuming and the location was just so in the middle of nowhere that I didn't really have that expanse. Maybe if I was working in actual Hyderabad city, it would have been slightly different. But yeah, so that's coming over. The Bihar election is coming up. Maybe I'll do an episode on this coming up. It's still very difficult to call. But one thing I can call right now, right away, is that Jan Suraj is not going to have an impact in terms of seats. They're not going to win like 20, 30 seats, something like that. Like they will be lucky if they win 2-3 seats, but they are likely to have some impact on vote share. So if they even debut with a 5% vote share in the state, that will be incredible. And I think, you can't write this party off, but this is not the election that they'll make. They'll be serious players. And Prashant Kishore probably knows that. He has been going around saying that, ya to arsh pe ya farsh pe, like either our party will win everything or it will be nowhere. And I think he gets it. He's observed a lot of elections closely, so this kind of insight he will have, but it's a tough election to call. At this moment I think NDA is ahead, and as things stand right now, they're slightly ahead, but like it's very, very close to call. There are about 20 to 40 seats which are um, very, very close to call. So, and like the candidate lists are just coming out, how these candidates campaign over the next few weeks. It will go down to the wire. Remember the last Bihar election, there were at least, I think, 20 seats which were decided by like 1,000 votes, 2,000 votes, 3,000 votes. Like, 3,000 votes is like one basti. The whole MLA is getting decided by, like, it was a very, very close election the last time. And this time will be, I think, very much like that. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how that plays out. Maybe closer to the election. Closer to the election or right afterwards, I'll do one episode on that. So yeah, that's what I have today. Thank you for listening. Stay hydrated. Be cool. Bye-bye. Hey, you finished the whole episode. Well done. I can't believe you can tolerate my voice for so long. But in case you liked what you heard, you might consider also joining for the exclusive episode that I do for my paying subscribers, because that show gets into slightly edgier topics and I don't really want to put it out in the public domain. It's available on the Patreon as well as on YouTube through the join option. And in case you don't want to drop extra money, I completely understand. Please keep listening to my regular show. I'm grateful as ever. There's a buy me a coffee link in case you want to drop some love. Otherwise, just have a nice day. Stay being awesome. Bye bye.